Hey folks, I wanted to give you a run through of converting a bunch of different things. So we'll just work through this page, feet and inches and millimeters and meters and feet and all these different things. So we'll start up here at the top, convert to decimal feet. So decimal feet would be what you see down here, 15.3452. And what we're trying to do is that everything that's not a foot, so the 3 inches and the 3/8 of 1 inch, we're trying to make that into a decimal. So it'll be decimal feet. The reason why we do that is to make it more calculator friendly, as I like to say. So it's a lot easier to punch this number into a regular calculator than it is to punch one of these numbers. And if you buy one of those construction calculators, the problem might be, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but first of all, they're expensive, but they're also, they make rounding decisions for you, so they might round up or down. Now, this might not be a huge thing, but if you learn to do this with a regular calculator, it becomes very easy, second nature, and you can do it very quickly. So let's start. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the fractions first. Now, if I took 3/8 of an inch, that is 3/8. So 3 divided by 8. When you do that, you're going to get 0.375 inches. So now you could say we have 3.375 inches. And we know that in 1 foot, there are 12 inches. So to get this 3.375, to get that into feet, we're just going to divide that by 12. And so when you do that, you're going to get 0.28125. So I'm just going to go 2813. That'll be close enough. And that's feet. So 3 3/8 of an inch is 0.2813 feet. So here the answer would be 6.2813 feet. Boom, done. Okay, so you can repeat the steps. So here we have 27 foot 5 1/4. So I'll change the color here. We have 1/4. That's going to be equal 1 divided by 4 equals 0.25 inches. Then we have 5.25 inches. And we're going to divide that by 12. Divided by 12 equals 0.4375 feet. So here we have 27.4375 feet. All right, now this one looks scary, but it's the same process. So we're gonna go, I'll take some room over here. We're gonna go 15 divided by 16, and we get 9375 inches. 6.9375 inches. Divided by 12 equals 0.5781 feet. 13.5781 feet. Okay, so that's how we would convert it from our feet and inches into decimals. And like I said, that makes it more calculator friendly. Now if we had to, let's say, add all these up, it would be quicker than if we were to try to add fractions together. That's really the downside of working in imperial, this feet and inches, is that it's really not calculator friendly, whereas metric is. It's all decimal, right? We'll be talking more about decimal feet and engineer scales and things like that as well. So now here the opposite is we have the decimal feet, and we want to put it into measuring tape friendly language, right? Because if I told you, go lay me out something at 15.3452 feet, that doesn't translate to the measuring tape very easily. So what we want to do is take this number and make it into inches and fractions so that we have, some English here to actually be able to read. So I'll pull out my calculator, so maybe we can just do it like this, and I'll clear some of this old stuff out. So we're going to do the opposite, right? So here we have decimal feet, and we want to make that into inches. Again, there is 12 inches in 1 foot. So we'll take our number, the 0.3452, and we're going to multiply it. It's going to get bigger by 12. So now we have 15 foot 4.1424 feet, or inches, I should say, inches. So now this, if I were to say, go lay me out 0.1424 inches on the measuring tape, that's again not calculator friendly. So what I like to do is go -4 to get rid of it because we're happy with the whole number. It's 4 inches. And now we have this. This is what our fraction of an inch is going to be. Now, typically with construction, we're going to be dealing with quarters of an inch, eighths of an inch, and 16ths of an inch. You might see 32nds of an inch. You might, but not really for a lot of work. So what I would say is 1/4 of an inch accuracy would be what we'd use for foundations. An eighth of an inch accuracy is what we're looking for when we're doing framing, so rough carpentry. A 16th of an inch to a 32nd of an inch is when we're dealing with finishing. So depending on what level of finish we're going with. So a high-end kitchen would probably be in the 1/32 range. So the reason I say this is because we're going to take the denominator here, the bottom numbers, and that's going to be what we multiply it by. Now, as a general rule for me, I usually stick to the 16ths when I'm doing this, because then I can make a decision. I can round up or down to make it in eighths or whatever. So what I would do is take the remaining fraction number here and go times 16, okay? And we get 2.27 sixteenths, which a 16th is very small. I'm very comfortable just calling that 2 sixteenths, okay? Now, if we were to put that back to where it was and multiply it by 8, that would put it into eighths. So here we have 1.1 eighths. Okay, 1.1 eighths. Now we're not going to deal with that. We'll call it just 1/8. Well, what is 2 sixteenths? Well, if I divide this by 2, and if I divide this by 2, that's going to equal 1/8. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 1/8. So it turned out to be the same thing in this case. But you'll see in another example, we're going to get it where it's going to be in between, and we'll have an odd number on top, let's say 5 sixteenths, and then it doesn't reduce any further. Okay? So here we finished with 15'4" and 1/8 of an inch. Okay? So let's try another one. Here we have 19 point, well, actually, we don't need to deal with the 19 because we're already happy with that. Sorry. 0.827. And we're going to multiply that by 12. It's going to get bigger. That's the way I remember it. So now we have 19 foot, 9 inches. So that's the whole number there. And like I said in my calculator, I just go -9 to get rid of the whole number. This left over here is going to be our fractions of an inch. So now, again, I'm going to go times 16. And we have 14.78 sixteenths. So now that little half here is over 5, so I'm going to round that up to 15 sixteenths. Now, odd number over the even, we can't divide them by equal numbers, so now we're going to have that as the final answer, 15 sixteenths. 19'9" and 15 sixteenths. Now here we have another one. We'll just do this one pretty quick here. 0.6875 times 12 to put it into inches. And we have 153 foot 8 and 0.25. We already know is a quarter, but if you had to, 1/4. Sorry for my handwriting. We could also go -8, and we can go times 16, right? 4 sixteenths over 16. If we divide that by 4, they both can be divided by 4, equals 1/4. Okay? So that's how I would do that, converting them back and forth. Now this is extremely valuable because there's going to be lots of questions throughout the program where we deal with this, okay? So please let me know if you need extra help on this, and try and work through some of those practice questions that we've given you. All right, next is converting inches into millimeters, okay? And the simple number that we want to memorize right now is 25.4. So that means that for every 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters, okay? So here we have decimal inches, which is beautiful because we can just go into our calculator, 94.25, and we can go times, it's going to get bigger, 25.4, and that'll tell us how many millimeters we have. So we have 2393.95, so realistically, let's call it 2394 millimeters. Because you're dealing with a very tiny fraction of 1 millimeter, and millimeters are already so small that we can just call it that. Okay, so here we have 53 and 7/8. So to get this to calculator friendly in decimals here, we're going to have to go 7 divided by 8, and we get 0.875. Let's add the 53 to that. Okay, 53.875. And we want to multiply that by our 25.4 times 25.4. And we've got 1368. This is less than 542, so it's going to be 1368. Again, I'm really not shy to round millimeters, because if we went to 68 or 69, it really wouldn't make much of a difference if you were 1 millimeter different. Okay, here, so we have 3.5 inches, and we're going to divide that by 12. Now we have 4.29, all that. You could round that if you wanted to. I'm just going to do this quickly here. And that's in feet. We can go times 12 to put it into inches. The other way we could have done that is just taken the 48 and put that into inches and added the 3.5. Either way, it doesn't matter. So we have 51.5 inches, and we can multiply that by 25.4, and there's our 1308.1, so 1308. Okay? So that is converting inches into millimeters, which is something we have to do quite a bit. Unfortunately, as Canadians, we're stuck in the middle of using the metric system and working with American products that are all in imperial. So we are going to be doing this quite a bit. And you'll see that a lot of our shop projects we'll be flipping from millimeters and inches from different shop projects. Okay, now going the opposite, we're just going to divide. So here, let's scroll down here. We have inches. We want them. We have millimeters. We want them into inches, I should say. And so here, for the first one, we'll take 1220, and we're just going to divide it by that 25.4. Divided by 25.4, and there's 48.03 inches. So if you wanted to get this into, I'm not going to do this for everyone, but if you wanted to get it into inches and fractions, I'm going to take away the 48 inches. Okay, and this is going to just be our fraction, so I'm going to multiply it by our 16, and we have 48 and half of a 16th. You could call it 1/16, or you can call it 0/16 at this place, but that's in inches. Okay. Here we have 28.2856 divided by 25.4 equals 112, and we'll take that decimal, we need to put that into a fraction. So take that, times that by 16, and we have 7/16. 112 and 7/16. It doesn't reduce any further. It's an odd number over the even. We're good. Here, just not to scare you here, but when we're dealing with meters, we just need to take this and move it over, right? So millimeters are 1,000 times smaller than meters. So if we take this and go 1, 2, 3 decimal places over, we'll have 4,870 millimeters. So no real math required, but 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. So 3 zeros means that we move the decimal over 3 times. So the decimal technically is here. And now we have millimeters. So we didn't have to do very much work there, which is why we really should be working in metric, because it makes our lives a lot easier. But here we're converting back to inches. Divided by 25.4, and we've got 191 inches, 191, and minus 191. We'll take our fraction here, and we're going to multiply it by 16 to get it into sixteenths. And we've got 11.7. We've got 12/16. Okay, I think we can divide both of these and make them smaller here. So let's see if we divide that by 4. Divided by 4, divided by 4. That's 3/4. 3/4. Okay, so there's that conversion. All right, so lastly, we're going to just do some quick conversions for feet into meters and meters back into feet. When we're dealing with large buildings, sometimes we are trying to take a dimension of a building in meters and work with our lumber, which is in feet. So what we do is our magic number there is 3.28. So 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. Okay? So here we have 8.38. 8.38. And we're going to divide it because it's going to be smaller. There's more feet in a meter, right? So divide that by 3.28. And our answer is 2.55. I guess you could say if you rounded that up to 5 and rounded that up to 6, 2.56 feet. Or meters, I should say. Now our answer here, it's in meters, sorry. Our answer here is going to stay in decimals because there is no fractions of a meter. We don't deal with that, okay? So here we have a somewhat calculator friendly. We have 4.625 inches. We need to divide by 12 to get that into feet. Now we have 28 point, all of these decimals. Now again, you can round this if you want, usually 2 to 4 decimal places, somewhere in that range. I'm just going to leave this for this. It's not a big deal. And the number is going to get smaller because we're going from feet to meters. So we're going to divide it by 3.28. And we get 8.65 meters. All right, now we have a little bit harder. We have 7 divided by 8, 0.875 plus 9. Okay, that's 9 and 7/8 in decimals. We want to put that into decimal feet divided by 12. And we're going to add the 43 feet. So we have 43.82, blah, 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 all that stuff. We're going to get smaller, divided by 3.28 equals 13.36 meters. Okay? So now converting out here into feet, same process. Okay, except opposite, we're going to multiply instead of dividing. And again, with our metric, we're dealing with decimals here. For this purpose, I'm just going to leave the answers in decimal feet. You'll remember that we can take the decimals and convert that to measuring tape friendly, the feet and fractions of an inch. Okay, so let's take our 17.34. Now that's very big, so this is going to seem large, but we're going to multiply it by 3.28. Okay, that's 56.875 feet. Okay, and again, if we wanted to take that further, we could take the fractions, multiply it by 12, and then multiply that answer by, well, why don't I just do this one real quick? I'll just do it for the first one. So times 12. So that's, we have 56 foot 10 inches. We'll take the remainder, so minus 10, and times it by 16. We get 8/16. 8 over 16. They both can be divided by, divided by 8 gives us 1/2. Okay, so 56 foot 10 and 1/2 inches. All right, for the remainder, I'm just going to leave them in decimal feet because you get the idea. 28.875 times 3.28 gives us 94.71 feet. Now here, don't be intimidated because we're in millimeters. Remember, we can just move that decimal place over. So this is 18,000 millimeters, which 1, 2, 3 zeros. Just take that comma and make that a decimal. It's 18 meters. All right? 18 times 3.28, 59.04 feet. Now, yeah, sometimes you do get building dimensions that are 25,000 millimeters and you think it's crazy, but it's because another part of the drawing needs to be more precise, and so they're stuck with millimeters for all of their dimensions. But fortunately, when you're dealing with thousands of millimeters, you can just basically ignore this portion here. You don't ignore it, but you put the decimal where the comma should be, when you're doing your thousands separator. All right, guys, I hope you find this helpful. Please work through the practice. It's going to be very beneficial for you to be quick at this because it'll just help you with the rest of the course. All right? All the best. Take care.